Simon in England. You're live with Eric and V. Hi, Simon.
Oh, hi.
Hey, what did you want to talk about today?
Well, I kind of had a question. I'm an atheist, but I had kind of have a ghost story.
Sure.
Okay.
I think that is so important to point out, because you can be an atheist and still believe in ghosts. The question is, are you a skeptic?
Yeah, because the thing is like I've got kids, and they've asked, and I told them I'm an atheist, and then I told them the ghost story, and my son was like, "But isn't that proof of the supernatural?" And I kind of said to him, "No, because there's more than one type of supernatural, and what I experienced hasn't been tested or confirmed by like a third party." But I always had this nagging doubt that, am I right? Can I believe in ghosts and still be an atheist?
Yes. There are plenty of atheists who believe all kinds of things. Now, I think it's silly, and I don't think there's a good reason to believe it. And I'm not going to, sugarcoat that. But I think there are plenty of atheists who believe silly things that I don't agree are true.
Right. An atheist is just someone who doesn't believe in a god. And you can believe in ghosts and not a god. That's not a conflict there.
The difference that we have is when you apply skepticism.
Right. Can you be a skeptic and believe in ghosts?
Have you applied skepticism? So let's just wrap the whole thing together. You are convinced that you had an experience with a ghost, right?
Yes.
Okay. Would that experience, talking about that experience, convince us?
I think so, because it's not like a really scary story or something really elaborate.
I mean, I agree that you believe it.
Yeah.
Would it convince us?
Thinking about it, it wouldn't convince you.
Why?
Because I don't know really. It's just that the story isn't that exciting. It's not really, and because I kind of didn't. I experienced the ghost, but I didn't see it.
Okay. So how do you know that it was a ghost? How did you come to the conclusion that it was a ghost?
The story it's really quick. It's just I was in a building I've never been in before because I was doing some training. I was in the bathroom and I was washing my hands when like you've got that 2-door system for a bathroom. I heard the 2 doors open. I felt the inertia of someone walking past me, and the inertia when they closed the door and locked it. And then I went to dry my hands, and when I turned around, both of the stalls, the door was open.
Okay.
I mean, as soon as I turned around, both of them were empty. Okay. And I looked and I was thinking, what the... And I just dried my hands and walked out and never went into that bathroom again.
Sure. Honestly, there are lots of times that I've gone to the bathroom and not really remembered what I've done. And I think that kind of falls into this category of you do something enough times, it becomes rote. Right? There are plenty of times when I drove to work for years and years and years, and eventually I stopped remembering my drive because I just went into autopilot. So is it more, I think it'd be more likely that you went into autopilot or misremembering things or, some unexplained phenomena. But even if you say it's entirely unexplained, I still don't think that there's sufficient reason to conclude ghosts.
Right. And here's where I'm coming from. That sounds creepy. That sounds really creepy. I wouldn't go back into that bathroom either, honestly. That would be creepy. But I also have a ghost, quote unquote, experience. I worked at one of the most haunted inns in America when I was a teenager in college. And over the summer, I was a housekeeper there, and I would go in and I'd change all the bedding and clean the bathrooms. It's an awful job. But one day, everybody else, all of the other housekeepers, everybody believed in ghosts. I was the only person who didn't quite. And I wasn't an atheist yet, and I wasn't really a skeptic yet, but I didn't really buy into it. But one day I was in the laundry room, and several people have heard this story before. I was all alone in the room, and one of those little like laundry detergent cups was on a shelf up super high. It thwacked off the shelf and ricocheted around the room and fell down just by itself. Whoa. I was just sitting there staring at it like, all right, that just happened.
So did you conclude that it was a ghost bee?
No, even then I was like, I don't know what that was. Like, I guess it could have been. Like, I have no evidence to the contrary, except for the lack of evidence that there are ghosts.
Yeah.
But like, it's totally okay to say, I had this really weird experience that I can't explain, and leave it at that. We don't need to come up with and this is what it was, without a doubt, in the real world. I'm making a claim about how the universe works now. I had a weird experience. It could have been any number of things. Maybe something hit the other side of the wall that I missed, and it caused the thing to fall off, right? Maybe I have no idea.
Or the more you thought about it, the more you embellished.
It could be that could be too.
I mean, that happens pretty much everybody.
Yeah, fish stories are real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, the more you think about it, the more you adjust and adjust and adjust, and it has nothing to do with whether or not you're an honest person. It has everything to do with the way your brain works. And so eventually, maybe a cup falling and dinging off the counter and bouncing over to the other side can build up into, a more fantastical experience.
Especially if you're in an area that is saturated with that, right? If you are in a culture that talks about ghosts, of course, if something that creeps you out and is unexplainable happens, that's where your brain's going to go. In the same way that once people started talking about little gray aliens,
it's called priming.
Yeah, more and more people experience that kind of alien abduction because that was the narrative that people bought into. So I would say totally believe that you had this experience. Can't explain it myself. Don't think it's a ghost.
Yeah. So there's a difference between probable and possible. And I think that you need to first determine whether or not something's possible before you can make a probability claim. Mm-hmm. I don't think ghosts are possible.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the probability of a ghost doing it is, because I don't even know if ghosts are a thing. But I think that there are plenty of things that happen naturally in the world around us that could cause that, and it could be reviewing it after the fact and getting more and more. I had a ghost story for a really long time. And eventually, I really did believe that I saw a ghost. And, and the more and more I think about it now, the more I realize, I don't think it was that fantastic when I started telling the story. I think it just
grew and grew.
It grew and grew. And over time, it developed into something that I truly, strongly believed. And it wasn't until later that I, started really examining how our brain works. When you're accessing that memory, you're changing that memory. And that's...
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I would say is practice skepticism. Give it the Socratic approach. And that is, what if I'm wrong? What would that look like? How do I know that I'm right?
Because I thought to myself, if I had another ghost experience, one where I actually saw someone or something, I wouldn't immediately think, oh, there's a God. I would scream Jesus Christ, but I wouldn't immediately go to religion.
Well, but the other thing is there are lots of pareidolia. I talk about it all the time, looking at shapes in the clouds and seeing faces. We as humans do that. It's just something that we do.
Also, there have been some studies, can't quote them off the top of my head, but there have been people who have researched why certain buildings feel haunted. And a lot of the time what they found is there is a noise from some kind
frequency,
of a frequency that we can't hear, but we still physically react to. So we walk into a building and say, "Ooh, I got the shivers." It could be because you're just hearing a noise that your ears can't process, but your brain is. And so there are tons of really cool, awesome, like physical and natural explanations for these things that we just don't have a full grasp of yet. So again, totally believe you had this experience. And I think that shared experiences like this have created the concept of ghosts to begin with. But I think we just don't know quite enough about it yet to make a determination.
Yeah. And again, that cultural priming is just incredibly important. Mm-hmm. There are plenty of times where people just, experience a hallucination. We are all susceptible to it. And there are some people who are stuck hallucinating for the rest of their lives. People who have schizophrenia, who see things, hear voices. Yeah. Is that schizophrenia?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just part of being human, man.
Yeah.
But hopefully that's a different way of looking at it. You can be an atheist and have non-skeptical worldviews. I don't think that a skeptic could also believe in ghosts, though.
Right. Okay.
All right, man.
Awesome. Great question, though, and one we should address more often.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Take it easy, man.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
Yeah. So yes, we have theists on the line, and I wanted to talk to them too. But seeing an atheist saying, "Hey, I want to talk about this ghost story." Gosh, it's important. Again, we're holding our side accountable here. I see you in the comments. Yes, we do read the comments, and we don't respond though.
Don't let them know. I did throw my weight behind Bartok the bat in a last comment debate, though. So
yeah,
every so often.
And honestly, it helps keep us sharp. So that's okay. We are fine with different opinions and people disagreeing with us. We want to see all sides of things because we want to explore. We want to be better. We want to be better hosts. But this idea that, you're somehow smarter because you're an atheist, or you're somehow immune to other, traps mentally that people fall into is BS. If you really want to develop that tool set, you really need to be practicing skepticism there, because the atheist position is a conclusion. It's not the tools that got you there.